we're going to put one more feature in our user form. We have where the background color of our text box changes. We have where we can change the border color. We can put a text box border on, and we can change the background color of our entire user form. However, I want to be able to manipulate the colors that are left behind when we change the background color of our user form. So the background color of our checkbox button, the background color of our labels, and the background color of our text box border frame. And I want to be able to change those by typing in the RGB values. So now we're going to use a text box, but we're going to actually let the user enter numbers into that text box, and then we will manipulate those numbers that the user types in. So go into the editor and the user form. We want 3 different text boxes for red, green, and blue RGB values. So text box 2 is going to be text box red, and I'm going to make that font 28. And I want the default text to say 0. So this is our text box red. I'm going to copy that, paste it, and paste it again. So red, green, and blue. So now I'm going to change the names of those text boxes because the features are already set on them. So text box green will be the second one, and then text box blue will be our last one. And now I'm going to want to label these. So this is going to be label R, and I just want to say R, so that I know that that stands for the R in the RGB, and I'm going to change the font size to 28 as well. Copy and paste that. The next text box, I want the caption to say G for green, and it's going to be labeled G. Paste it again, and this time I'm going to say that the caption is B, and I want that label name to be label B. So now it's time to enter some of the code. For now, we are only going to change the background color of this label red that was associated with the red spinner. So not our label R, but our label red. Double-click the text box or view the code. So this changes the red RGB values for the button and label backgrounds. So we said we were only going to change label red first. So label red was the name of that label, and we're changing the back color. So back color, label red dot back color, and that's going to equal RGB values, and it's going to be our text box red, text box green, and text box blue. So what those values are. I just realized that I don't want the text to start out as 0, I want the text to be blank, so I'm going to go in and change these to be blank. So that's just a matter of going back in and erasing the 0. So now when I run this, I can type in 20. As soon as I start typing something in, an error is going to appear. And that's because as soon as we change this text box red value, it's taking in the values for text box green and text box blue, but there is no value for that currently. So we need to set a default value for all of the text boxes. So if text box red is equal to nothing, because nothing is typed in right now in any of the text boxes. So if that text box red is equal to no value, then text box red, we will set that to 0. And we need to do this for red, blue, and green. So text box green. So if that one is blank, it will be set to 0 as well. And for text box blue, if that one is blank, it will also be set to 0. Now when we run this, if we typed in 20, 0, and 0 automatically pop up for our green and blue values. If we wanted this to be 230, and notice that when you erase the number, it sets to 0. Now we just need to be able to manipulate the green text box value and the blue text box value. But before we do that, remember, we want all of these background colors to change. So we're going to change the background color for our checkbox, the background color for label green, the background color for label blue, label R, label G, label B, and our frame. So the name is checkbox back color for our checkbox button. And we're going to write that one first since it's on the top, just to keep everything organized. And we're going to say dot back color equals the RGB values. So just to show you what we just did, when we go in, type in 200, it's changing the background color up here and the background color for our label red. Now we're going to move on to green and blue. So label green, label blue, we have 3 more labels. So our label for text box red, blue, and green, which is label R, label G, and label B. So now we just need to change the background color within our frame. So double click the user form. You can see that not just the frame will need to be changed, but also the option button backgrounds will also need to be changed. So the frame is frame 1. So we're going to say, instead of a label, it's called frame 1. And we need to do our option buttons. We have 2 option buttons named option button on and option button off. So now when we run this, we can change the red value and everything will change. Let's try something a little different before we go ahead and put the green and the blue values in. Instead of changing the background color of these buttons, why don't we change the fore color? The fore color basically is the font color, or whatever is typed in, it's changing that color. So instead of typing dot back color, now you would just type dot fore color, F-O-R-E, running that. And you can see we got rid of the back color and changed the fore color. So let's do that for the rest of them. Now when we run this, typing in 230 or 255 or 200, the text or for color changes. So now that you're satisfied with that, let's go ahead and change it for the green values, because right now, no matter what we type in for green, nothing happens because we don't have that set up to where the value can change. So copy the entire subroutine for text box red, and instead of saying text box red, we're just going to type text box green, paste again, and this time text box blue, because the code is still the same for everything else. So this one will be blue, and green will change the green RGB values. Notice the only thing we changed was the comment and the name. So now when we run this, we can pick red and we can change the green value and the blue value. Going back into your workbook, there are many ways that you would be able to simplify this code. And you can also change it to however you like. I encourage you to have the buttons manipulate different features within the user form so that you as the programmer get used to the different effects.